All right, settle down, and welcome to another episode of the Crystal Crusaders, playing Storm King's Thunder. I am your DM Brad, joined today by my lovely player Sons Zach, for the time being, and we are here to play once again and see what happens. But first, assuming he can remember anything, we have to go through the ever so classic recap of what happened last time, delivered by none other than James this week. So, James,
My turn.
tell me what it is that you remember happening last time on Storm King's Thunder.
I like the way you worded that. All right. So last time on Storm King's Thunder, we
Wrong.
continued. Last time on Storm King's Thunder, we had finished rescuing Lucas and our new tribal buddy Greyhawk. After we'd done that, we moved on into the next room where we encountered what appeared to be a giant, a bunch of little goblins, and the giant's pet, which was that tentacle monster whose name I can't remember.
Otyuk.
That's the one. After dealing with all the goblins and the hill giant and his pet Otyug, we then made our way up the massive ladder into the main into what appeared to be the back larder of Chief Gau's throne room. And then after peering out to the side and seeing into the main throne room where we were, we decided that it'd best be in the rear. We decided that it'd be best to try and get them to choke into the doorway, which went flawlessly, if not for the fact that Harshnag got really beat up by a wyvern. Luckily, though, he managed to survive. So after we managed to kill the wyvern and some more giants, we made our way in and then laid into Chief Ga herself. Big, fat, sinewy mass of fat and disgustingness. The fight was hard. And then after we managed to almost look like we defeated her, Chief Ga at some point began to transform. Her stomach opened out into a open chasm of gnashing teeth and disgusting acid, almost killing us there and then. Harshnag the Grim only barely surviving on 1 hit point, apparently. But despite all of that, we did manage to defeat Chief Ga and slay her. However, it apparently was all as planned, as at that point Valish Gaunt appeared, teleporting in with the staff taken from Blackstaff Academy all those years ago, now twisted with a piece of the black ice tied onto the end, a similar runic engraving such as that the Bloodstone had that we had. He absorbed Chief Ga's magical energy, soul, whatever it was. By the time he was done absorbing her into the staff, Chief Ga was no longer there. Baelish Gaunt taunted us, thanking us for our assistance and helping him in his cause before teleporting out and leaving us there. That's what happened last session.
I mean, it's not wrong.
Not wrong.
I was actually quite surprised.
Also, I don't know how, but I have this runic gavel. Like, what does this do?
It's a magical thing we haven't identified yet. It belonged to one of the giants we killed in the basement.
Sweet. Inspiration, Brad? Thank you.
Yes, very well. So,
do I get an XP reward?
I mean, no.
You
get the inspiration.
I did a special good this time.
You get. Well, you did an acceptable job, and you want an additional reward for just doing what you're supposed to do. That is so like such a millennial thing, James. That is congratulations.
He's used to the participation awards stuff.
Oh my god. Anyways, so yes, picking back up.
You know, in first grade and second grade, you get a reward for just participating.
Exactly. Yeah.
You get a gold star if you do your job well.
Where's my gold star?
Shoved so far up your ass, you're never gonna see it again. Let's go.
Yeah. So, anyways, as we head back onto the scene, a few moments have passed. There was a bit of like panic and confusion that had set in here in the throne room, which has now been vacated of enemies. You can hear the sounds of the rest of Guz's forces kind of breaking and scattering at the defeat of the hill giant chief. And immediately, as you're all kind of like standing there, you see Harshnag just sort of kind of like falls over like backwards onto the ground, like breathing pretty heavily, lying on his back. And he just sort of like lets out this exasperated like sigh of relief. As he just sort of like kind of like laughs to himself, and he says, "I have not been so hard pressed since we fought the great Eastworm above Waterdeep."
Are you okay?
And he says, "I have been better, but I will be fine. We have won this day."
Didn't feel like such a victory after Baelish Gaunt showed up. And you hear what he said?
And he just sort of like shrugs and he says, "I do not pretend to understand what all of that meant. But what I know is that the hill giants thus defeated no longer pose a threat to the safety of Waterdeep and its citizens. They no longer have to worry about starving in the midst of winter. We have done
True.
a heroic deed, and you are heroes all. Do not listen to the dark words of that blackguard."
Well, thank you. Maybe it's best, though, if we rest up and then make sure this place is fully cleared out. I imagine Lucas is excited to get his bag back. Can anyone get Alquil up?
No,
Zurich, you have a new spell slot since you leveled?
I can't use those spell slots yet.
Yeah, you won't actually
Can you
have them
Oh,
until a long rest. Yeah, but as you're kind of like looking around, you notice the throne, the collapsed wagon where Ga had once sort of sat her tremendously swollen form. You notice there does appear to be some sort of like trinkling baubles and gold piled up beneath the sort of like crushed carriage, and also scattered through the kind of like refuse of her previous meals that had been like scattered around her. The sort of like contents of this great collection that she had acquired.
time to loot.
Is it +2 or is it +4 to a regular healing potion?
It's 2d4 plus 2.
2d4, okay.
Roll another d4.
Yeah, so
6 hit points.
Harshnag basically is like sort of collapse here, but you are now sort of like free to kind of like move about the compound. So basically, as you guys kind of take some time here to look about and try to find what is left. How about, let's just say you're going to find everything probably, but we'll just see how long it takes you. If one of you, whoever has the highest bonus, probably Alexei, wants to make an investigation check, and then somebody else in the group can assist her with that if they want. And we'll just see how long it takes you basically to scour the remains of this fortress.
Alquil
Yeah.
will just crawl up to the throne and just lean back, sitting there. You guys, go ahead.
My guy is also pretty fucking exhausted because I had a lot less health than what I have now. Because
I'm going to assume one of you assists me, so that's my roll of advantage.
Let's just...
All right. So it takes a while, even with that like well overall, it's like a big area. You're kind of scouring through every little nook and cranny. So it takes a few hours to search top to bottom of this now vacated fortress. However, you do turn up quite a sizable amount of wealth just in the throne room alone, kind of scattered around and underneath where Chief Ga was sitting. You find piles of gold, in total 5,600 copper pieces, 2,200. I have a list of everything, so I'm just reading it off here, and then I'll give you the list afterwards.
not 56,000.
Cool.
Yeah, 5,600, 2,200 silver, 630 electrum pieces and 150 gold. In addition, there is a set of Yeti fur trimmed boots that have metal spikes along the soles that seem sort of faintly tingling to the touch. There's a potion of deep red liquid, which we immediately recognize as a potion of healing, although this one seems to have greater potency than normal. There is a large clay jug that has dozens of sort of stoppers in random places around it. And then there is a vial of clear liquid that seems to have a like hill giant's like kind of like half rotted toenail suspended within. In addition to that, there are a number of myriad trinkets, including a wooden rocking horse that seems to have a fine silver inlay and blue quartz gems for eyes. There is a small wooden chest that seems to contain a disguise kit. There is a wooden coffer that contains what looks like some sort of vampire hunter's kit. There are 6 vials of holy water, a wooden stake, and a rather pristine first edition copy of a tome called Van Richten's Guide to Vampires.
What the fuck, Brad?
Are you hinting at something here?
There is also.
Are we going to the dread plane, Brad? Like,
I'm not done.
Curse
I'm not
Free
done yet.
for-
There's a battered hat that has 5 carnelians sewn into it, a golden flute, a flower pot carved from jade with images of green dragons. This is a pretty heavy thing. And then there is a wooden puppet theater with faded gold trim that, though the words that are written upon the top are pretty like faded and hard to read. And then it has a number of gold-stringed puppets wearing bejeweled costumes that seem to depict various creatures in some sort of play. Several like humans and like a half-elf and the likes. All in all, this whole like puppet theater set is incredibly large, but there's a lot of gold contained within it, so it probably has quite a bit of value. That's just what you find in her trove. You also find down below. A further 1,100 copper pieces, 900 silver pieces, and 400 gold pieces, a large bag of dried mushrooms, and Lucas's bag of holding and his equipment, most importantly of all. And finally, you find like a little chest like stored in the bottom of a barrel somewhere in the top floor. It's got a moderate sum in it, 80 silver and 45 gold, and this fancy platinum ring of elven design. And then finally, you loot the remaining sleeping pallets of the giants that you did not get before. You had 6 of the 10, and you now loot the remaining 4, getting an additional 4,400 copper, 2,500 silver, 1,300 gold, and in addition, a bunch of random junk, such as a wooden barrel, 2 dead trouts, a crudely carved stone statue of a human, an entire marble tombstone, a bundled up tent, dented steel shield that has cooking stains on the top of it, a giant-sized sheepskin drum, an entire uprooted shrubbery, and a stuffed owlbear toy. And this is the whole list of everything that you find remaining.
Out of all that's there, I want the stuffed owlbear toy.
Yeah.
The toenail.
I will claim
I would-
Lucas's bag of holding as my own.
No, you shan't.
He immediately like.
I
snatches
would
it.
like to try and start identifying this magic stuff with ritual casting identify.
Very well.
Brad.
Hmm?
The hobgoblin that died in here, is it salvageable, the plate armor you had, for repairs, or is it completely fucking smithereens?
Yeah, so it's like salvage. You imagine like looking at the damage, because he was like chunked by Harsnag basically. So looking at the damage between him and the other plate armor, probably between the two of them, you could probably salvage enough pieces to like repair like a fully functional set. If you take the back off of this one and kind of like pound the dents out a little bit, between the two of them, you could probably like jury rig them together into a complete set.
Yep. Then I will like take the order. That one out of them.
All right, let's see. So, I guess I'll like to identify the runic gavel first.
Very well. So it sounds to me like with all this identification going on, that perhaps you all would like to just camp here, and probably stay here for the
I
time.
mean, is there any immediate danger? Do we like?
No, no. Everything has been scared off. So, unless there are like patrols that return and are like, "What the fuck happened here?" You're probably fine.
All right,
um,
all right.
At least for the meantime. So in that case, let me just do a check here. Okay, cool. That's a number. Yeah. So Alexa, you go through the process basically of just identifying all these items. So I will give you everything here. So the runic gavel, the first thing that you identify, is a strange sort of magic that you have, again, sort of only briefly been in contact with, but it is indeed a magic item. Although the enchantments are not quite the same as what you are used to, it is known as a gavel of the Ven rune, and here is everything that it can do. There for you.
Oh, good. You already got it. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
In addition to that, the fur-trimmed boots are boots of the Winterlands. From the DMG, I don't have a handout for that one. And the clay jug is an alchemy jug.
Another alchemy jug.
It's a lot of 7/6.
I already have one alchemy jug.
Oh well, we better throw it out then.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a bunch of other people who doesn't have one.
And I have a bag of holding, so we just throw Lucas's.
So okay. Alchemy jug, boots of the winter thingy, and
Yes,
then
boots of the Winterlands.
boots of the Winterlands.
Let
Okay,
me see.
let's...
I think it's in the compendium, so I should be able to look up what those do. So the boots.
Here we are.
The boots of the Winterlands are a item. They require attunement. They are snug and feel quite warm, and when you wear them, you gain the following benefits. You have resistance to cold damage, you ignore difficult terrain created by ice and snow, and you can tolerate temperatures as low as negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit without any additional protection. If you wear heavy clothes, that toleration temperature goes to as low as negative 100.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like any of this magical stuff is going to be useful for me. Well, actually, let's look at the gavel. It's small by giant reckoning, nearly the size of a warhammer in human hands. To resolve disputes. Against you have disadvantage. As an action, strike a point on a hard surface.
Thor, is that full calculating all the money we have earned from this?
So can this gavel kind of be used as a warhammer?
No, because it is just like a wooden ceremonial the gavel. It is not suitable for use as an actual weapon.
Right. Does anyone want the gavel? I feel like since it's giant magic, it might be plot relevant, so we should hang on to it instead of selling it. But
I'm wielding a two-hander, so I can't use it.
Yeah,
well,
and you
like
would
Brad
also
said, it's not a weapon.
You
with
can't just have it on your back.
yeah, and with your identification, you would also with the last sort of section there, you would understand that the like magic that has been used to create this is almost like transient in nature, and in fact can be with the proper sort of tracings placed upon like another place. You can transfer the magic of the item, which is something strange to you. No magic item has ever you weren't able to transfer the enchantment out of it to do something else. You get that the idea here.
Would I need a spell to do that, or can I just do that?
No, it's just part of like an 8-hour ritual, basically.
Okay.
I have finished calculating the money. And divided it between the 6 of us. That is us 5 feces and Briork.
Oh yeah, Briork.
Yes. And it is now we each get
just to say, considering Bjork is always forgotten, damn, he's getting rich.
We all get 1,850 copper pieces and 105 electrum pieces each. Then, when it comes to the silver and the gold, it becomes unevenly divided. So, one of us gets 315 GP to one, whilst the other 5 will get 316. So I'm just gonna say Briork can.
Yeah, Briork will
Like,
take the lesser amount.
Yeah, so the 316 gold pieces. And then the silver pieces, there's 2 of us, which will get 796 silver pieces, while the remaining 4 will get 797 silver pieces. So I guess I'll volunteer myself and Briork for taking the lesser of the silver.
Sounds good to me.
Of course it does.
Okay,
Greedy bastard.
I need spell
Now
money.
the problem is obviously how we are going to, if we have enough carrying capacity to get all of this. I know I don't, but we have.
I don't.
I can get a lot of it. A lot of it inside a bag of holding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the
I guess
between the
that's what
2 bags of holding, you do have
Yeah.
quite a bit of a.
Well, since it's
leeway
mostly
there.
coins, like a lot of the coins can just whoop into that.
Yeah, I mean they have weight, but
Yeah,
Where we,
but like most of it doesn't, like not all of it, obviously. But
Well, where are we thinking of going next after this?
Back to
Like Golden
reality.
Fields, Waterdeep, or
Waterdeep or Golden Fields, I think.
yeah, Harshnag's just like, I have a mind to see my home or what it has become, and to see report what I have found to the current Blackstaff.
Okay, we have a giant with carrying capacity with us. Problem solved.
yeah, I
If
was
you
about
want-
to say, I was like, if we're going where he's going, then I think that just answers the question.
Yep.
If he wants to go the same place as we go.
Yeah, he said he wanted to go to Waterdeep, and
Yeah, well,
we're going to. And I feel like we should go back to Waterdeep or Golden Fields to report.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm thinking Waterdeep myself.
Yeah.
All right, let me add in my money to my sheet. Even though I can't carry it all, we have him.
I'm gonna
We have 2
put all
bags of
mine as
holding.
well.
We have potential tensors floating disc.
Potential
hashtag.
tensors.
Uh,
All right, here we go.
So what was
I
the
will
magic
say 4.
items? I was busy calculating, so I didn't pay attention to the magic items.
Yeah,
So
so
the
the magic
Winterland.
items we've got is a Boots of Winterlands. That's from DMT. You can find it in the SRD. Boots of Winterlands. We have the Gavel of the Ven Rune, which Brad has a handout for, and the Gavel. Well, yeah, I think that was it, wasn't it?
There was an
Was
alchemy
that-
jug.
Oh, sorry, another alchemy jug as well.
It requires attunement. I mean, like for a flavor wise, it really fits Alquil's whole like. It's gonna be.
Well, like Brad said, I can I can transfer the enchantment of the Gavel into anything else you want.
No, so
I
it's
can-
specifically
put it onto a
so
rainforest.
specifically with the gavel, you know that you can transfer it to an area. Like you can permanently enchant an area with a different effect than what the gavel does.
Among the giants, the item is used in part.
That last
Okay, so I can't put it onto another
yeah,
item.
that last section you can transfer it to a place, and if fixated on a point, it becomes the center of a sphere of magic with a 30-foot radius. And that area is basically forevermore enchanted with this magical sphere, where anytime a creature lies within that sphere, they take 5 psychic damage and like visibly flinch.
Oh, that's interesting.
Transfer the gavel.
But that destroys the item, basically.
Right.
That was I was talking about the gavel. I was talking about the boots of the Winterlands
Mhm.
right now.
Oh, right.
That's what I was talking about.
So-
I read on the gavel as well. That's cool. Our large clay jug with a dozen of stoppers. Is that like an alchemy jug?
Yes.
Yeah, it's another alchemy jug.
Oh, nice.
and how much fucking electrum?
A vial of clear liquid with a hill giant's toenail suspended within it.
Yeah, I ate that toenail already. So.
How was it?
That
Nice
is
or-
a potion of hill giant strength.
Ah, okay, okay. I was just like,
Thanks for wasting it, dude.
I was gonna say, it's like that sounds like the size. That is the magic ingredients for a belt of hill giant strength, at least according to the other game I was playing with. But not sure if that's it.
Man, this is the first time I've got an Electrum.
Broken fragments of a shell with a powerful giant rune carved into it. The fuck?
Yes.
Was that
So there is. It's not magical. Well, it is, but basically, like the enchantment is rapidly faded to the point where it's like it doesn't have power anymore. But it looked to be a piece of like a conch shell, like a seashell. And then there is like part of a rune carved into it, but like most of it is like kind of broken away, and you don't see like the rest of it has been like just crushed to a pulp.
Praise the magic conch.
And Alexei is not able to tell like what it was, even with due to the basically it being broken and the enchantment no longer being there. Whatever. You
Sorry.
can tell that it was magical, but is no longer having been broken.
Would we be able to get all of this stuff? Like a lot of this seems like it would be heavy.
We have a giant
Cumbersome.
intensors and bags of holding.
Yeah.
No platinum. What is this?
They've been robbing villagers. I'm surprised they have so much gold to begin with.
I'm not surprised to have that much copper.
No, no. Man. I wonder what else was in those fucking sleeping pallets, because there was, was there more animals that we didn't get to pick?
It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. It's in the list.
2 dead trout, crude corn, marble swamp, and dented giants. Okay.
Alright. And
Oh,
all
no.
the money.
A giant-sized sheepskin drum.
All this loot that's worth money now, eh? Let's see.
What do you say, Morten?
Nothing.
So the broken fragment of a shell, part of a giant rune carved into it. What could that rune?
The dented steel shield is not magical, is it?
No.
Right.
Why do we have Van Richten's Guide to Vampires here?
Why do we have his fucking wagon as like a toy?
Brad, what is this?
I don't know. Some sort of reference or something, maybe.
And those are worth a lot, but it weighs like 200 fucking pounds.
What weighs 200 pounds?
Wooden puppet theater with a faded golden trim that reads Octavio's Carnival of Wonders, along with golden string puppets wearing bejeweled costume, were 2,500 gold, weighs at 2,000 pounds total.
Haven't we gotten a lot of money now?
Oh, we have, but there's always more.
Guys, do you think we could maybe put together a cart with all the lumber around this area?
Could I?
It would probably take time.
There's already like some spokes on what remains of Chief Guz's throne, quote unquote.
She's been sitting on that for God knows how long. That one's probably like...
Yeah, that one's beyond fixing.
And I wouldn't want to sit in that anyway.
No, I think there's things growing inside that you don't want to be on.
200 pounds. Like a tensors could
I don't
carry
think
that
it's
and that, along with more stuff.
As
But there's
usual.
always so much stuff.
I wonder who he's talking to.
Himself.
Yeah. Alright,
Like, do we need to calculate the weight of this all, or can we just get this and bring this with us?
I mean, between the 2 bags of holding, which can hold what, like 500 pounds each, and Tensor's floating disc. If you put like the really big stuff, like the puppet theater and the jade flower pot, like onto the disc, and then like shove the little stuff into the bags, I think you can easily like carry it all.
All right, cool. I don't wanna.
You're basically like at capacity, but you can carry it all.
Yeah.
All
Well, in
right.
that case, I say we take everything.
Yeah.
sure.
That would be worth. Anyway, I'm not sure about the crudely carved stone, a statue of a human,
Beer
marble
bait is
tombstone.
Or the shit from the hill giant sacks or sleeping thingies.
Yeah.
We don't need live goats and stuff.
But Morn wanted the owlbear toy. You can have that.
Yeah. So if anyone wants a giant-sized sheepskin drum, you know. Woo.
I'm more curious as to the story behind the uprooted shrubbery.
And dented steel shield with cooking stains. I mean, this is like the third shrubbery we have seen in those bags. I think the hill giants just kind of like their shrubberies. It's like picking flowers for them.
Yes, they just picked shrubbery.
Listen,
Fair
they need their roughage, man.
All right, let's leave the crap, take the good shit.
Yep.
All right. So you spend a few hours sort of just pulling everything together and gathering what is valuable and separating out of the chaff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
then I imagine we'll probably take a long rest before heading out in the morning.
Yeah. Should we rest here in the fucking fortress, or should we?
I mean, we pretty much killed everything.
We killed pretty much everything, and it does probably have accommodations for giants. So Harshnag could finally like sleep in a bed or something.
And it probably smells like.
It'll smell like hill giant, but you know it's a bed Harshnag.
He just sort of like does this like bellowing laugh that sort of like shakes the whole building, and he says, "Having seen the sleeping quarters of hill giants before, I think I prefer the cold floors."
All right, let's
Very well.
camp outside then.
We can camp outside. I don't really like this whole open indoor space anyway, so.
Alright, well, yeah, so I guess we go take a long rest outside. And I will not click it immediately, I will wait for confirmation.
Yeah, so you guys
Crazy.
leave the fortress to go set up camp somewhere nearby. And yeah, as you guys set up your camp, you guys no problem can make it through the night. As you're kind of like keeping watches, you do notice like every so often like a group of like hill giants or whatever will sort of like return like a couple of them will like return to the fortress, like take a look around and like leave, like very confused, but they don't you guys manage to like hide yourselves away, that you aren't like harassed by them or anything like that, and it would seem as though you are able to successfully take your long rest.
Woo! Shot 4.
I'm on to you now.
And so, if the intention then for you all is to return with Harshnag to Waterdeep and report of your success,
Yes.
I believe in this case we can just go ahead and fast forward a little bit. After you guys travel, it takes about like a 10-day, maybe a little bit more, to return to Waterdeep from your current position, avoiding many of the major settlements along the way, as Harshnag is careful to kind of startle the small folk of the area with his appearance. And
Fuck you, Womford.
eventually, you come across, you see in the horizon, the sort of like walled gates of the City of Splendors, sort of before you, the sparkling sea to your right hand side as you're coming from sort of like the north, towards the gates, and you can like see the gulls kind of like flying overhead, some of the Griffin cavalry kind of like on patrol, and as you get like closer, as you get a bit closer, you notice that like Harshnag just sort of like strides forward towards the gates, which you can see are like open as they are usually, but there's a number of guards there, and immediately you notice like people, as Harshnag is like striding up, people like immediately kind of like go into high alert. The guards like kind of who were maybe kind of like resting, kind of like leaned up against, like grab their spears and begin like running to see what's going on. And some of the Griffin riders up ahead begin to sort of like dive towards this position, and people begin to like flee at the sight of this giant fast approaching. And you notice like he strides ahead of you, like he's going like full speed, like a man returning home for the first time in a long time. Uh, and as the guards kind of like move up to him, he just sort of like gently ushers them out of the way, like gently. He doesn't like push him. He just kind of like gently ushers them out of the way. And you see he gets like a few steps into the door before there's just like a swarm of like city watch just like kind of like surrounding the entrance. And like one of them is just like, "Halt, giant! Go no further!" And you hear like as you kind of stride up behind him and the guards kind of like are looking at you, he just sort of like bellows loudly and he says, "Is this how you welcome home a returning champion after so many decades?" And he says, "Come, show me where the open lord is. Let me speak to the Blackstaff." And after a few moments, you see like the crowd begins to part, and a figure you recognize as Vajra Safar, the Blackstaff, sort of like strides through, quite in a rush, looking sort of like almost like half dressed from whatever she was doing in the time with the Blackstaff, and she sort of like strides forward, like looking up at this giant. And there's like a moment of pause before she just sort of looks to you all and kind of like laughs and like waves off the guard, who immediately kind of like give like a confused look to each other before kind of like dispersing back into the crowd. And the people begin to sort of like calm down seeing this and like begin to just go like about their day as if nothing had happened.
We have returned.
Yeah, and so Vajra sort of steps forward and says, "I can see that, and with company I see." And she sort of like curtsies to the Frostdragon, who's kind of like down on one knee now to kind of like get closer to eye level. And she says, "I presume then you are Harshnag. I have read quite a bit about you from the previous Blackstaff's reports. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Vajra Safar, the current presiding Blackstaff." Harshnag just sort of like bellows and kind of like reaches down like a single finger to sort of like shake hands, as it were. And he says, "It is good to see you." And he says, "I have returned from my long travels." And he says, "Bringing good news, but I would not be one to hog the spotlight and deliver it." And he says, "Please," and he kind of like beckons for you all. It's like, "Tell her of what we have done, what we have accomplished together."
Yes, I'll step forward, and I says like, yes, after our previous encounter, I say to the Blackstaff, we traveled up to Golden Fields to check on the situation there and learn of the hill giants' incursions on Golden Fields. We tracked the hill giants, looking for them through the Desert Valley. Eventually, we encountered Harshnag, who led us to Haug, the stronghold of the hill giants. We did battle with the hill giants and defeated their leader, Chief Ga. She has been slain, and the remaining living hill giants all scattered to the hills. There is a large dam there. It will need to be disassembled to free the river up.
Oh, the fortress is now empty, so that should be easy enough.
Hopefully, just unless any goblins travel there to take up roost.
And she just sort of says, "Well, the city of Waterdeep is not concerned of a few goblins." And he says, "If all this is true, and I have no reason to believe it not to be, then you have accomplished a great feat, much more than I perhaps thought you capable of when I sent you on this mission." And he says, "You have not only brought back a champion of Waterdeep, but you have saved her people from a grisly fate in the come winter. And for that you have our eternal gratitude, and I believe, should I speak with the Open Lord, perhaps a more substantive reward is in order. Though I have not to offer at the moment."
I would be much appreciated to speak to if someone were to speak to the lords about perhaps sending some sort of aid to my home in Icewind Dale.
And she sort of like nods and says, "Well, I think perhaps you might have a chance to ask of the lords yourself. With a momentous occasion such as this, no doubt, L'Oreal will seek an audience with the brave heroes who have saved the day. I recommend you find an inn somewhere. I will pay the expenses for it. And she sort of like conjures forth. There's like a little like puff of smoke, and she conjures forth this little like card essentially, and like hands it to you, Alquil. And she says, "Just show this to the keeper at wherever you choose to stay, and they will know that the expenses will be covered for the night, for the duration of your stay. And I will see about scheduling a meeting with L'Oreal."
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. We are quite short on cash, so
And she turns over to Harshnag and says, "I would offer you the same courtesy, though I fear that in the prevailing centuries since you are leaving, there is not much of a service industry for giants established in the city. I'm afraid there's not likely to be anywhere that we have to put you up." And he just sort of like laughs and he says, "I will make do. I will find a place. See if my old haunting grounds are still habitable." She sort of nods.
I turn to Sir Almir. Back to the estate, then.
yes, of course.
Didn't sound too happy there, Sir Alamir. I was thinking, I say, turning to all this, I look at the vouchers. It's like I might hit up that place we were at last time, the Yawning Portal, I believe it was called.
Yes, the one for well. Very well. I guess you'll know where to find us, and we'll know how to find you.
Yes.
To the bank.
The what now?
The bank. Got
The bank.
so many copper coins now. I need to trade them.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brad, are there banks in Icewind Dale?
No.
No. Yes, I would. Because I'm starting to think like, would I have a concept of bank? I know I have concept of trading coins. So I was just like, I would say to Alexei, like, I'm sorry, what's a bank?
Oh, a bank is a large monetary institution where people can go to store their cash and receive loans in exchange for interest for investment opportunities. Since I have so many copper coins, I figured I'd go trade some in for either silver or gold equivalents. You know, just kind of have to lug them around.
So you can trade. Trade in gold there, exchange currency for the, yes, copper.
Yes, for a small convenience fee.
For a small fee, of course, but it beats having to lug them around. They are so heavy.
Just, excellent. I think I'll join you to this bank then. And
Excellent. Sir Almir, hail a cab to the bank.
I look longingly out towards the gates again.
Sure.
I hail
So
one of the
you
runners.
you hail one of the dray, the carriages that sort of patrols the
Wait.
city.
Where the fuck did I get the potion of healing from?
Who knows?
Where did I get one of the magic missile from? Like, you know, this stuff happens, man. Alright,
Disappears, magically.
apparently
It's hard
so.
to keep
Wow,
track
where-
of how much
Where'd
sheep.
this staff of the Magi come from? Oh, weird.
Where does Warple halberd come from?
Yeah, so you hail for a cabin as you all sort of like pile in. We see that the
We
doors.
just got these big bags that cling when we put them
It's
down.
got big bags of coins like clanging. It's like good thing that we thought to take a cab and not like stroll through the dockward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you all pack into the carriage, and as it kind of like drives away, we see like the screen sort of fading to black, as it were, and then at the bottom of the screen we see the words "Meanwhile, far to the frozen north," and suddenly everything is just sort of like this sort of icy shade of blue, like this dark icy shade of bluish kind of green, and there's a light kind of silhouetting what looks to be like a throne room of some sorts. A figure sitting there, though you cannot see them, but you do see there's like a large kind of staff. A large kind of staff leaning, they're holding in their hand, illuminating against, and there is another figure sort of further in front, also like carrying a staff of some sort, kneeling on the ground in front. And as we see the camera turn, we see that the figure sort of supplicating themselves is Valish Gant. The staff, the tip of his staff glowing with that sort of like greenish crystal chunk that the black ice had turned into when it devoured the essence of Chief Ga. And he sort of As he's kneeling there, you hear this crackling voice emanating from the figure on the throne, and he says, "So, Valish, tell me, how have things gone?" And Valish Gant just sort of like looking down out of deference and says, "Things have gone according to plan, Kessel." He says, "They have been lured in as expected and slain the chief of the giants. Their god's essence now lies in this crystal." And as he reaches up, he kind of like clutches the crystal, pulling it from the staff and holding it forward. And you see the figure on the throne stands up, and this brilliant green glow kind of shines from the tip of his staff. And you see a similar chunk of crystal, sort of like broken and incomplete, as he gestures a hand forward, and the other piece of crystal begins to float towards it. And you watch as like the two pieces of crystal kind of like merge together into one, forming a slightly more complete crystal. And he says, "Excellent." And he says, "I will admit I did not expect much from you, Valish Gant, given your prior failures. But it would seem even you could not screw this one up." And he says, "You are dismissed. I have no further need of you for the time being." And Valish Gant just sort of like nods and hurries out of the room. And you see, as he hurries past, there are several other figures sort of like standing in position, kind of like down this like long rug. And you see now that the walls of this place, there's sort of like this crystalline structure. It's like mostly black, but it's slowly transitioning into this sort of same greenish color of the crystal. And as Valish Gant leaves the room, we see the several other figures, one of whom we recognize as Rengar Bearheart, and a couple of others sort of shadowed behind him. And then another that you recognize as Clancy, and of course, and Nefarious. And then there is a fourth figure whom you do not recognize, and they just sort of like have a hood up, like obscuring their visage. And they have a greatsword sort of like strung across their back, from what you could tell. So as he's saying this all, the figure sort of with the staff, the crystal now sort of like more complete, he sort of turns to this procession and he says, "And what of you, Rengar? How proceeds things with the stone giants?" And Rengar just sort of like steps forward and says, "Things are going well. I think our plans are almost ready to be set into motion. They have leveled all of the settlements of the Delimber Vale, save for one. A final assault on that, even if not successful, will see fit to draw out heroes from far and wide, and they will bring ruin to the stone giants." And to this, Akar Kessel again just sort of goes, "Excellent." And he says, "Continue your work then. Do not disappoint me." Like, just sort of like nods. At this point, the dwarf Clancy sort of steps forward and says, "Then I will go and keep watch over the fire giants." And he says, "See that their work on the Vonendad continues apace." And he says, "With the Titan secured and the forges relit, they have what they need now to reforge the Titan, even should they not be able to find all the pieces." And he says, "The Deathbringer will rise again." And he just sort of like leaves the room, no response. Nefarious just sort of like following after him, leaving just Akar Kessel and this lone figure there in the room, again sort of like face obscured. And there's like a moment after everybody leaves the room, the doors to this throne room kind of slam close, and we see this figure sort of steps forward in front of Kessel, and Kessel sort of looks down at her from the dais, and he says, "And what of you? How goes things with Countess Sensori and the Cloud Giants?" And the figure just sort of stands silently for a moment, and he says, "If you expect the same reverence from your dogs, I will give you no such thing. The treasures have been found, though not what they are seeking." And as the figure sort of like moves up, whereas none of the other figures like made eye contact with Akar Kessel, this figure like looks up and kind of like looks him in the eye, and we see through the hood, sort of the darkened shadows, her eyes are sort of like bright, but not human. They look almost draconic in nature. This golden silvery sheen sort of like mixed together, looking out from under the piercing darkness of this hood. and says, "So long as your money is good, you will have my services and no more." And she sort of like turns to leave. And as we see, she turns to leave. The greatsword on her back, illuminated by the shadow, the light now pouring out from behind the throne, gives off this like golden gleam, jeweled from sort of like top to bottom with all these like studded gems and the likes. And at the hilt, sort of like the cross guard, there's a large dragon's eye, sort of like half silver, half gold, sort of like melded together. As she walks away, she kind of leaving the room. Kessel now alone. He turns and kind of like moves behind the throne. And he just sort of looks out towards this light, which we now kind of like see as the camera pans over. There's this like big open pit kind of behind the throne, in the center of which is a large sort of like green and black like crystalline obelisk almost. And there's a figure, sort of a large like massive figure chained to it, with like heavy thick chains. They are kind of like bluish skin, long kind of like whitish blue beard, a like crown that appears to be made from like coral on their head. And as Kessel approaches up to the edge of the pit, this figure kind of like looks up towards him, and Kessel just sort of like looks down into the pit and says, "And there is one last piece of the puzzle. I will break you, King of the Storm Giants. It is only a matter of time." And as he does this, he slams his staff down, and this like greenish black lightning shoots from the tip of the staff, and you hear this like loud yell of pain from the Storm Giant as everything fades to black again. And when we sort of cut back, we see all of you kind of like arriving, basically having finished all of your business around the town, arriving sort of at your destinations, wherever that may be, and sort of settling down for the night. And after that, I assume you basically like you rest for the night and kind of like meet up again to see what is occurring with this meeting with the Open Lord.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess
Can
we'll
we
go
do
on.
the coin exchange then?
We exchange the coins.
Yeah, you've done all that. We're it's tomorrow. It's the next day.
Yes,
We'll do it later then.
You've already done it. It's done.
But what's the fee?
Well, I mean, it's not gonna make a difference, really.
50%.
We take 90.
It's like a-
coins,
it's like-
90%.
It's like a, it's like a 5% fee. So it,
You
whatever.
pay us and we take the money.
Figure it out.
That sounds like property. No,
Alright,
robbery is illegal.
I'll just exchange my coins then, since you don't seem to be that keen on.
Yeah, no, I really don't care about the nickel and dime of it.
That's fine. I'll just do it later then. All right. Yes. Meet up the next day. Woo!
All right, yeah. So you all return the next day. Alexei, you receive a message in the morning. A sending spell kind of enters into your mind. You hear the voice of the Blackstaff and says, "I have arranged a meeting for you with L'Oreal. She's a busy woman, so the timing is tight. You must get ready and meet me at the Blackstaff Tower in an hour from this message."
All right. Once I get that message, I'll immediately get changed. Sir Alamir!
You hear a gunshot.
So Alamir, we have an appointment, and I tell him the time. Sure. Get dressed.
With whom?
What was her name again, Brad? Sorry.
The Open Lord of the City, L'Oreal Silverhand.
Is Brad lagging for anyone else, or is it just
No.
me?
Yeah,
Just
He
you.
likes a little bit for me as well.
No, it's you.
he's roboting.
It's all you.
Um,
You're the only one that lags.
Okay.
I don't know.
I Lord of the City, Sir Alamir. Big
You-
deal and all,
Hello? Testing? Hello?
I'll bring my I'll bring my fancy claymore or halberd.
Thank you.
Hello?
I trust Al Quill probably got a message too, didn't he?
Hello? Can
Hello?
you hear me?
No,
Okay,
I mean
good.
maybe.
Ish.
Well then. Hello. Let me know if it stops being weird. Is it hello?
Yes,
I'm
you
just
are
gonna-
a robot.
I'm going to keep talking. This is hold on. Why is this set to Europe region? Let's set it to not Europe region.
And I changed it to Europe.
It's
Brad,
not.
hello.
It's not Europe.
It was set to US Central first, then we changed to Europe, and now we've changed it to US East.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
we can hear you now, Brad. It seems.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Seems better now, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so-
you have a meeting with Open Lord L'Oreal Silverhand, the sort of leader of the city, the de facto head, as it were. And in an hour's time, basically. So you gather up your companions from where they were to meet up at the Blackstaff Tower. And as you sort of like arrive at the base of the tower, you see Vadra waiting there for you, and she sort of ushers you inside and says, quickly now. She does not have much time, so this will have to be quick. Come through to my study, and I will take you to her.
Right. I'm wearing my best clothes, Brad, of course.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Ceremonial
everyone.
armor.
Yeah. All right, everyone. This is the big moment. Everyone behave.
Very well. Okay. So yeah, as you are led, sort of escorted through the tower up into the Blacksmith office, you see she turns and there's like this sort of archway in the wall that just sort of like has a flat surface behind it. She utters a few words and a gleaming sort of mist begins to appear, and she sort of steps through, kind of like ushering you to follow after her.
Follow.
All right. So as you follow through, you all appear through this portal in some sort of kind of. It's not really like a throne room. It's more like kind of like an audience hall that is basically like completely empty. Although you see standing sort of at the throne, this woman in sort of almost like this kind of like very regal looking white and gold trimmed wizard-esque robes with sort of like loose sleeves. There's some sort of like crimson accents. She has kind of like braided up silvery hair that's kind of like tied back in a very elaborate braided hairstyle, and this like stern sort of like commanding presence about her. And as she like speaks, her voice seems to sort of like carry an echo through the room with this sort of supernatural kind of like presence to it, almost as if she's sort of just like speaking with authority beyond that of just like a normal person. And as you all sort of gather into the room, Vadra sort of like kind of like excuses herself to the back to just kind of like pay mind. And so you're now the six of you there ranged in front of her. She kind of like looks to you all, taking a moment. Everything's just complete silence before she kind of like gestures like a hand to you. And she says, "There is no need to feel tense." And he says, "You are welcome here in this place. Tell me of yourselves. Who do I have the pleasure of addressing?"
Well, I says, I think normally we'll courtesy to introduce oneself before asking others their name, but since you're asking anyway, I am Alquil Redmond from the Icewind Dales, and these are my companions and friends. I gesture over to them, and I'll like gesture for each one in turn, and you can all introduce yourselves.
Okay. It says, "Greetings, my lord. I am Alexei Cadancia von Bourbon of the Bourbon family, and also apprentice here at Blackstaff Academy to Master Rendon Frall."
Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Sir Alamir de Ganes, head of this lady's household.
Household guard, please, Mike.
Yeah,
Security, the head of the security.
yeah,
Head of security.
security guard thing. Body people.
Yes. No, you've actually usurped the position. You're now officially the Lord. And then we gesture to Sirik.
Yes,
This
and
is a
Zurich.
dwarf.
It's a dwarf.
It's your turn, Morton.
There are many.
One is
There are
that-
many like
this
him,
is
but
our
this one
dwarf.
is ours.
I was muted. This is great.
Yes.
I kind of gave like a slow bow and go like, Sirak Thunderbeard.
Right. And then Brayrock sort of like nods his head, and he says, I'm Breark on Skull. Yeah, after you all introduce yourselves, she sort of like nods and says, I'm
And the
sure.
silent one is Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas. Lucas is here as well. Or is he?
Yes.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Maybe he. Well, actually, you know what? I think he's not there.
Oh shit.
He's
given
sleeping.
given his history in Waterdeep.
Oh yeah, actually.
I think he's most definitely not there. He came up with a convenient excuse to not be here. So there's only the five of you. Yeah, so she sort of says, as I'm sure you know, I am the open lord of this city, Lerael Silverhand, chosen of Mistra, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here to this hall, especially given what I have heard of your deeds, as I hear that we have you to thank for staving off a disaster here in Waterdeep of great proportion.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far. We were pointed the way by Blackstaff Academy, who hired us to investigate this issue. So a lot of the honors would also rightly go to the Blackstaffs.
And she sort of like
As well as Hashnag the Grim.
And of course, yes, we must not forget the true champion of this tale, Harshnag the Grim.
She sort of smiles and says, there is no need to be humble. Though I appreciate that amongst adventurers, they are oftentimes more braggadocious than not. But you have done a great deed, and you should feel proud of that. He says, whatever you might think of your own abilities, were the hill giants not dealt with in this manner, I fear that this great city would have faced dire times come the winter's fall. He says, people would starve, violence would break in the streets, and all would be pandemonium. He says,
yes.
You have saved this city, even if you do not believe it yourselves.
No, I do believe it. Was to Golden Field, or we were to Golden Fields. And that is
Your word
quite
for me.
the amazing place. So thinks back to all the greenery and food there. Just like I could see how it would be a problem for you if that were to be ransacked by completely destroyed by another hill giant attack.
I just got this image of Alcool thinking it's like how the world is so unfair. They all struggle so hard up north, like hunting deer, growing what little they can. We just have these massive fields growing so much grain. All these people who have
huge tracts of land.
Yeah, it's just like that they have walled in their food resources. They grow like
the greedy bastard.
The trees are alive.
Trees are alive. Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways, yeah, as you're there, she says, but lest our conversation continue, I believe that you are at least due a hero's reward. And she sort of claps her hands, and you see suddenly this sort of like curtain from behind the behind her dais opens, and you see this like chest, just like nobody's carrying it. It just like begins floating into the room, landing sort of in front of her, kind of like between you and her. And the lid sort of like peels back as if by some invisible force, and you see this like sort of twinkling pile of gold inside of it. And she sort of gestures. Mimic. She gestures and says, a small remuneration for your troubles. It is the least the proud city of Waterdeep can offer you for your brave deeds. And as you're sort of like looking over it, I mean, are you gonna sit there and count it in front of her?
No, okay, fair enough.
She just sort of says, and though my time is precious and I have little of it to give, I hear that there are some among you that may have other requests of me. I would hear them now.
Yes, actually, that would probably be me. I mentioned it to the Blackstaff, the Blackstaff. What's her name again?
Representative,
yeah. The current Blackstaff.
Yes, Mantra.
And this is, as I mentioned at the start of this, I come from the Icewind Dales. I've traveled a long way from up north to come south here to Waterdeep on the request of Sheriff Markham of Bryn Shander. Says, our Bryn Shander, our town, was attacked by frost giants in a similar manner to how your Golden Fields was attacked by the hill giants. Says, we were able to fend them off, but we will not be able to withstand another attack or more attacks if they should grow more frequently. There was a few reasons to coming to Waterdeep, but part of it is that our Bryn Shander's speaker, well, former speaker, she died during the attack, has originally came from Waterdeep and perhaps had friends here and such. The sheriff asked that when I got out to Waterdeep, request aid, whatever aid you might be able to give to the 10 towns. Thus, I wasn't quite able to find anyone related to Speaker Duvessa Shane. The city turned out to be a lot larger than I had at first assumed. Sort of chuckles. Says, but since I'm now here in front of you, and you're the Lord, Leader, Open Lord, that was the title of this place, I thought perhaps...
Open Lord, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I know. The Open Lord of this city, that you perhaps could, take into account the struggles of Icewind Dale, and whatever aid you might be able to send, the 10 towns will appreciate it. And we live by nothing if not the honor of repaying the friendship that is shown to us. And Sheriff Markham, though he may perhaps just be a temporary leader of Bryn Shander, is an honorable man who stands by his words.
And she sort of nods and says, first, may I say, I offer my deepest condolences for the passing of Speaker Shane. I did not meet with her many times, but she seemed a strong and just woman. She did not deserve such a fate. Says, in my capacity as Open Lord, I have some sway within this city, but matters of such foreign policy must first be brought before the Assembly of Masked Lords. I promise that I will go before them and champion this cause to send aid to the Icewind Dale, but I cannot promise anything. He says, I will do what I can to sway their hearts, but they are a cantankerous lot oftentimes.
I will not pretend that I will understand the politics of your city, though I imagine it perhaps is like the Council of Speakers in 10 towns. After all, the entirety of the city seems to have the population 10 times that of the 10 towns. So I can't imagine it easy for a single person to rouse the whole lot. So I understand. If nothing comes from this, I can fully understand. But I thank you nonetheless.
She sort of nods and says, this is the least that I can do. I will also see that Duvessa Shane's relatives here in Waterdeep are located and notified. It would be a shame for them to live without this terrible knowledge. He says,
The rest of us allowed to ask for stuff.
and she sort of turns and says, is there anything else?
Well, and I'll say it's like, my lord, if it would be not too much to ask, given that our quest for now has concluded, I imagine we shall continue again at some point as the world is in so much turmoil. If it would not cost you too much or be too far out of the question, if you could be able to grant me a plot of land for me to construct a arcane institution that we could use as a forward base in our research of what is going on in the world, that would be very appreciated.
You see, she sort of thinks for a moment, kind of like a fist, closed fist, rested up against her chin, and she sort of says, alas, it would be imprudent of me to show such favoritism to the daughter of a noble by bequeathing city lands unto her. I will see, perhaps, that the guilds are amiable to your cause, should you wish to seek land individually. But I cannot give such a thing to you. I am sure you understand. There is a bad image it might leave.
Of course, I understand, and your assistance in the guilds would be much appreciated.
She kind of like looks to everybody else, like one sort of like final time, kind of scanning over the rest of you.
If anyone has any requests now, go forward or forever hold your tongue.
Sir Alamir would be like, "Can you like break my servitude, please? I'm blood-bound. I cannot leave of my own
my
will."
soul. Free my soul.
Just please, lady, you must understand. He's a demon. He's a demon. He's forced me into a contract. Slay the Bourbon Solets.
Could you kill me?
Ira, if you can ask for anything.
Yeah. So nobody seems to do these.
I kind of got like, how long are we gonna stay here? Like, is the idea that we're gonna stay here for quite a time in Waterdeep?
Well, after we're done here, we're going to go enter into downtime. So we're splitting up and doing our own things for a while. How long are you planning?
I'm just gonna ask, like, is there any possibilities I could like borrow the forge or something, just a smithing, or I don't know how this works in a big town like this.
I sort of butt in. I'm like, perhaps if you, if that is your request, you could be joined into the smithing guild.
Yeah.
I point at her like.
L'Oreal sort of like nods to this, and she says, I would be most pleased to write for you a letter of recommendation to the most careful order of smiths, an introduction, perhaps, and encouragement that they should allow you to join their order at a reduced charge and make use of their facilities for as long as you so wish. It is no small inconvenience, but I can exert my power, so... She says, tell me, where is it that you are staying? I will have the writ delivered unto your residence.
I look over at the other ones. Then I go like, yeah.
You're currently in the yawning portal inn, aren't you?
Where are we staying?
Well, I went to the joining portal, so if anyone is like, we have the choice of Bourbon Mansion or one of the taverns, and I just went to the joining portal because that's the only tavern I know the name of.
Okay, I'll join him.
In joining portal.
Right. And she says, a popular place. And he says, I will see the writ conveyed to Durnan, then he shall have it waiting for you on the morrow. And then she sort of like looks, makes like one more look, and kind of like gives this sort of like, polite, sort of like noble kind of like curtsy.
What was that organization that Harsna was part of? The Grey Hands or something?
The Grey Hands, yeah.
And
they're no longer a thing, though.
Oh, they're no longer a thing. I was thinking like if Mike is or Sir Adam is not going to ask for anything else, he could ask for that because that might have some authority for cities affiliated with Waterdeep or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask about that, Alaria will say, well, Vajra is more the person to ask on that accord. She says it is, after all, her responsibility as Blackstaff to maintain and manage said organization.
Of course.
Are you interested in anything at all, Mike, from the village?
This is the most high-profile lord in Waterdeep.
Could you equip me fully in magical armor and weapons? No. I have nothing to ask for.
All right. She says, and then she sort of like claps her hands together and says, in that case, it has been a pleasure to meet with you all, and I hope to see you accomplish many great things in the years to come. Thank you once again for your service to the city of Waterdeep, and I bid you fair day. and she sort of like begins to leave. And as she does, you all kind of like feel this kind of like pulling sensation as Vadra sort of like steps forward with her staff raised and says, "Right, let's not take up any more of the Open Lord's valuable time." And she sort of like waves and says, "It's been good seeing you again, L'Oreal. We really should talk more often." Or not, and she kind of slams the staff on the ground, and you all disappear back into the Blackstaff's office, back in the tower. And Vajra lets out sort of like this deep, sort of exasperated sigh, like,
You really don't like her, do you?
and she says, "Well, her and I don't exactly get along necessarily. Something about the spirit of her dead husband being preserved in this staff, and me running the institution he created."
Oh, that
Hey.
that can't be good, can it?
There was one thing that I felt needed an additional mention, but I didn't want to mention it while she was here.
What?
And like, well, I don't think we told her about the whole what was his name again? It's gone out. Yeah, Valish Gaunt showing up and absorbing the what's her face's spirit. Did we?
Oh yes, no, we did not. I
Yeah.
think I've completely blanked on reporting that to.
I just didn't want to mention it until we were in private, which is why I didn't bring it up before now. So
Well, we are with
I was-
Blackstaff currently.
Yeah,
Vajra just
but
sort of
we
like
are-
raises
but
an eyebrow, like,
That's just like,
Yeah,
that
we're-
actually completely slipped my mind somehow.
Yeah. I wanted to mention it her, but just when we were private anyway. So Alexia will continue, and then she'll say, I didn't mention this previously because we haven't been able to get a private word, but I figure now is probably the best time to do so. I trust in some of my reports and what we've mentioned previously. You've been made aware of the man called Valish Gaunt and how he stole the staff all those years ago. Yes,
Black Eyes. I hope you mentioned Black Eyes to her.
and the Black Eyes. Yes.
and she says, "I have heard something of it from your correspondence with Rendon Thrall, and of course I know of the staff. I tasked you with retrieving it, and I see it's still not been done."
Still working on that front.
Never
Anyhow,
mind
yeah.
that, it's a minor artifact anyways. Not terribly important. It was more of a test.
Which,
Yes.
which she obviously failed.
Now, cool, please. And I'll say
Well,
it's like,
I mean, I don't blame you. Valish Gaunt has been a slippery eel. Says,
yes.
and I.
So what
well,
happened?
Yeah.
And I'll say it's like, well, what happened? You see, in Groot Hall, as we were fighting Chief Ga, we got to the point where it looks like she would have died a conventional death. However, it appears that Chief Ga had some sort of magic imbued onto her. And I'll give her a description of how her stomach ripped wide. There was all those teeth and all that acid and stuff like that. And I'll say, and then after we managed to defeat her, after that, whatever it was came about, Valish Gaunt appeared. He teleported in. He had the staff with him, but the staff had been altered. There was now black ice on the tip of it, and it was engraved in similar markings to the bloodstone that we had recovered so long ago. I don't really know how to describe it. It was almost as if he absorbed Chief Ga, body and soul, into the staff, and he spoke quite menacingly and tauntingly that we had played right into his hands, and he was thanking us for our assistance. I do not quite know what to make of this, and neither really did. What was Big Giant guy's name again? It's slipping my mind.
Harshnag.
And neither really did Harshnag.
Tell her about the cutscene.
we don't know about that.
Yeah, so she's sort of like sort of like head tilted, this kind of like rasping her closed hand against her chin, just sort of like deep in thought, before says, "You will have to report in more detail about this, perhaps in writing. However, I have heard of magic to entrap people within crystals before. It is nothing entirely strange, although it is quite nefarious, obviously, though it doesn't function as such. I believe this is a topic that will perhaps require more research before we are truly able to understand it. But I can say that it is perhaps nothing good is going to come of this."
my fears exactly. Well, if that is what you wish, I will go consult with my master and compile an official report.
And yeah, so she says, make sure that you leave nothing unchecked. He says, a full report of everything you know about this substance and this man, as well as what occurred.
Well, that will include speaking about Aqua Castle as well.
Yes, very well. And then I suppose I would say, well, I guess we should. It best be we go then, unless anyone has anything else.
Well,
Should we sell off all the valuables we found in
yes,
Haug?
I was just about to mention that. Also, I completely forgot it while we were talking to the Open Lord of Waterdeep. Destroying the dam. Destroying
No,
your
you mentioned
Crusader.
that.
I mentioned that to Blackstaff. I didn't mention that to.
No, you
To the,
mentioned it to the Lord. She was just like, "Oh, we don't care about a few goblins that might take over a fort."
that was Blackstaff. That was when I laid my report out to Blackstaff when they arrived in the city. That was not when we talked to the Open Lord of Waterdeep.
I thought it was. Oh well.
Nope.
Yeah, so she says, well, this Haug, as you called it, is quite far away from the domains of Waterdeep, but we can certainly convey knowledge of its location to one of the other nearby settlements. Perhaps they can begin work on dismantling it. And this is,
I imagine the Golden Field militias could take care of it.
What a useless captain.
Well, it is blocking off the river, so
She sort of like
probably will cause.
looks at a map on that's sort of like laid out on the table. There's a minor tributary, not substantial to cause much damage, but I will see what can be done about it.
Thank you. I've just wanted to make sure it won't cause any harm for, well, the surrounding farmers and such. This, after all, is still a fortress.
If it's not taken care of, the local salmon population would be devastated.
Well, that, and there's also the fear of goblins finding it and creating it into base and start roaming the countryside, as they tend to do.
All right. Well, I guess that's all then.
Yeah.
All right. As you guys go off and sell that stuff, I will meet with my master and make a full report on everything that we know.
Right.
Yeah, and so the blacksmith sort of says, in that case, you are all dismissed. Have a good day. He says, and should I learn anything new, or have anything else for you, I hope that I am free to contact you. You have done well on this, and I would hate to lose such useful talent.
Thank you.
And she sort of like smiles and said, would that I could not see your vagabond tendencies, lest I would offer you a position in the forces of Force Grey, but I see you are not the types to be bound to one place. So I will not insult you with such an offer.
My loyalties lies to the Icewind Dale, so I shake my head. Unfortunately not.
Yeah, she sort of like nods and says, it was worth a try, I suppose. Well, good day to you all then. I have some research to begin, I suppose.
Good day to you as well, Blackstaff.
Farewell.
And yeah, she kind of like waves as you leave the office, lugging this this chest with you that has been brought with you. And yeah, you all exit from the Blackstaff Tower, and from there basically find someplace you can like basically count out and divvy out the coins. And in total, in the chest, there is, what would the conversion be? Let's see.
Let's hope the
The-
reward chest doesn't have copper.
1,200 harbor moons, which I believe are the like platinum coins of Waterdeep.
Fuck boys, we're rich.
200 platinum each.
I just doubled the amount of money I have. That's great.
I tripled.
I love Waterdeep.
All right. So if we sell all this shit at the price that is listed,
Mhm.
it totals out to 4,150, which divided by 6 becomes something like that. Okay.
Briork, you're pretty wealthy now. What are you going to do with all this coin? Do you really wish to keep traveling with us?
Just sort of like kind of shrugs. It's just like, I've never really thought of it much. And he says, until this problem with the giants is dealt with, I can't return to my king. I will have disgraced him to do so. So I suppose I'll find a use for it in the prevailing time until next we deal with the giants.
All right, you guys can take 692 gold pieces. I'll take 691.
Can't I take 691 for once?
If you want to, sure.
Oh
Yes,
no,
yes.
1 gold piece.
One
Yes.
gold piece.
He's always sacrificing, so now it's my turn.
Wait, was it more than the PP?
There was 200 PP, and then we got because if we sold off all of the things,
Okay.
we will get 692 gold pieces.
What? You don't want to keep the first edition copy of...
I will. I will. I was going to say because I don't want to sell the holy flasks or the manual on the vampire. So, but I'm going to take it since I want to keep that. I will take that out of my own pocket.
Wait, what are you taking out your own pocket?
In the loot from Gridhog, there was 6 vials of holy water and the first edition copy of Van Richten's Guide to Vampires.
Are you
And
keeping
since
the vampire book?
I'm keeping the vampire book, and I want to keep the holy water because we've encountered a vampire,
Yeah,
and yeah.
that's fair enough. I was going to suggest keeping the book, but I actually just completely blanked on it. So thank you for accounting for that.
So that gives me 467 gold, which becomes 46 platinum. So
I'm fucking rich.
You're not that rich.
395 plus.
We need to go to
7
Waterdeep
gold.
more often.
There we go. I have almost 4,000 gold now.
You need to kill giant lords more often.
So now,
Guys,
James,
let's go kill more giant lords.
you have some funding for your magic stronghold.
Yep.
Now you just need to take out that loan for the rest.
Oh,
Let's
300.
see. So that is
Fucking
it for the
five.
valuables. Now I guess we haven't decided who gets the magical items: the Boots of Winterland, Potion of Greater Healing, Alchemy Jug, Potion of Hill Giant Strength. Is that the only magical items? I think those were the only magical items. Yeah. And the Gavel of Wenrun. That was the 5.
It's sorry, Electrum always messes me up, right? So is it still 10 silver to 1 gold?
Yeah, 10 silver to 1 gold, 2 Electrum pieces to 1 gold.
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't need to convert my silver into Electrum and then into gold.
No.
Right.
Electrum's like a weird, like half currency.
With the amount you got, you need to make 5 silver into 1 electrum to get the even number of gold, though. Just say.
Yeah, like copper is a penny, silver is a dime. Well, I guess in this it kind of breaks down.
Shit.
Fucking Electrum.
Like copper is a silver and a dime is gold in this kind of scenario. Then like a nickel would be electrum.
Potion of Hill Giants.
Nobody likes to get a nickel back.
Y'all just wanna be in big rock stars.
Live at hilltop, houses driving 15 cars.
Look this graph!
Look at this graph.
So,
I love you, Mike.
I just want to like I don't have like a particular use for it currently, but like considering the place I come from and the fact that it would be very useful for me for Alquill once he returns to Icewind Dale, I would like to get the Boots of Winterlands if that is fine with everyone else.
I don't give a crap about the magical gear. Divide that up however much you want.
I don't care either.
I want the alchemy jug because it helps when it comes to smithing.
Booze.
Yeah, and booze.
Mostly booze.
Yeah,
The booze
mostly
helps you smith.
obviously. Yeah, I mean, I'm a dwarf. What the fuck do you expect?
Yeah, I
Wolf is
don't.
now a member of the smithing guild of the Waterdeep as well.
Yeah, I don't. You can have the alchemy joke for as far as I'm concerned. So nobody else wants the boots.
No.
Don't give a fuck, man.
Uh,
Feel free. Hell.
I
Nice.
don't mind.
All right, that's my last attunement slot for now.
What about you, Zach? Zach, do you know? Okay.
Hey, if it's okay for me to take the bag of holding, Zach, don't say anything. Cool.
No,
He will
can't.
kill you in your
You
sleep.
can't take his stuff.
Damage resistance, spell damage, cold damage. If now I'm resistant towards, and yes,
So
that leaves. So Sirak gets the alchemy jug. I take the boots of the Winterlands. That leaves the potion of greater healing, the potion of hill giant strength, and the gavel of the Ven rune.
I'm no longer encumbered.
Now the gavel is a cool item, but I don't have the attunement slots for it.
I say we just kind of store it away somewhere. It doesn't really look like it has a lot of like use.
Well,
Really?
I like the R with the shield one, where it's like at the start of every combat, attack rolls have a disadvantage you before the start of your first time, which is cool. I'll admit. And then there's the whole like as an action you can use the gavel to strike a point hard surface the first time next minute that a creature within 60 feet of that deals damage to another creature takes psychic damage. So that could be good for like a setup. Like it's not like the best one, but it is nifty.
it has potential.
We can just set it aside for now and come back to it.
Yeah. It's just whoever takes it now is gonna have it for the remainder of the downtime adventure. I am using my attunement slots already, so I don't think let's see, because I have a cloak of protection, I have the boots now. What's the last thing I'm using? Oh yeah, the Iron Bottoms Giant Killnator Mark IV prototype. Which really I don't have much use for, as I'm very shit at hitting with those.
Are goggles of night an attunement slot?
I believe they are not, actually. I think they're a weird one that they're actually not.
Again, I wrote Google instead of Goggle.
Google. We've been cursed.
I only have one attunement slot used right now.
I have two.
Yeah,
If magical weapons counts as one attunement slot.
No, magical weapons aren't either.
No, most magical weapons, unless they do something special,
Yeah,
they're not attunements.
+1.
I have 0 active attunement slots.
I have one clock of protection.
By the way, were we able to extract the plate armor from the hobgoblin? and reforge it?
Yeah, I got it covered for you, bro.
Alright.
He's gonna make you plate armor or something. Or fix it.
I will.
Can I have plate armor?
No.
We have enough. I mean, you can, but
Physically you can, but
Can I
You're
have
not
it in
gonna be able to move.
preparation of Tensor's transformation at level 11?
Can't even wear it.
I mean,
Can I have it?
he. What is it again? Like, if you wear armor you're not proficient with, what happens?
I mean, you can't
Can't
cast
cast
spells.
spells.
Yes, that is
Also,
what
he doesn't meet the strength requirement, so like his speed is going to be
slow.
halved. He's like a disadvantage on everything. Like it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just bad. In general, just
It's
bad.
But I could have it in preparation for Tensor's transformation at level 11.
Does Tensor's transformation even let you wear armor? You
Makes
wouldn't
me
be able
proficient in all armors.
You wouldn't be able to. The thing is, you wouldn't be able
but you're
to
still
cast
strong
it. You would have to cast the spell and then put on the armor, and the spell would end by the time you put the armor on.
Or I put on Oh wait, you're right.
Because you can't cast it if you have the armor on.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I'm a retard. Okay, thank you.
We know. We know.
All right, let's see. How much is it to make a wizard tower?
8 million of a currency that doesn't exist yet.
It's like 8,000, I think.
So question is, Brad, are we gonna do anything else in this campaign right now except for being here?
Probably not at the moment. There might be like a few more like scenes or whatever before the downtime sort of begins. But otherwise, you are free at the moment to basically just kind of seek out like mundane tasks, like Xeric, for example. Once you get your letter, your writ of recommendation, you can take that to the guild headquarters for the most careful order of skilled smiths and metal forgers, and they will admit you, sort of waiving the entry fee and allow you to use their facilities there at the guild headquarters for the time being.
And now you're a guild artisan with all the benefits and perks that come with it.
So I was just wondering if Mike could get like a full play armor now, because I know you said how long it's gonna take to craft, but I was just wondering if you can take it right now, because considering I'm gonna make it now anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have like time to do that, so like you can do it.
So Mike, you have a full plate armor.
Yay!
So has anyone written down the potion of greater healing, Gavel Venrune, or potion of heal giant strength on the sheet yet?
Nope.
We're not a greedy bunch, are we?
I'll
Lucas
take
takes
them then
everything.
if nobody else.
Okay,
8,000.
never mind. Never mind.
What?
I'll take everything.
Yeah, I mean that is yeah. Lucas is the one who always like grabs it to himself normally.
We're so lost without Lucas.
You're so used to not getting anything that you're just like, what do we do with all this stuff that we have?
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
like I was thinking, like if you take the healing potion, I think Sir Alimer would have done great with a giant strength potion, because fighter beats the shit out of stuff.
Yeah, I like both me and Alamir would like gain I almost said like equally from like the giant strength potion. So I was just
We can roll off.
But you have spells as well.
I have spells as well.
I had
But
to
also
say
less
that
strength.
I don't think a hill giant potion would actually do anything for either of you.
What do you mean?
Why is that?
You have 20 strength, right?
I have 16.
Well, I mean, it would work
I
for
have
you,
20.
but if you have 20, it only makes it 21. So it wouldn't be enough to get an extra bonus for Sir Alamir.
Just you take it then.
I can take it then, because that gives me 20.
How much strength do you usually have?
I have 19 because I use. Oh fuck! I have Gauntlets of Ogre Power as well. That's another attunement.
Yes, and I have 16 normally.
It only gives one extra, right?
It gives makes your strength 21.
It makes it 21, yeah. So it would give you a +1 to hit and damage.
Oh, okay. Then give it to Alqua.
I need another 4,300 gold.
Sounds like you
All right,
need to
guys,
go
let's
on
go
an
kill
adventure.
the hill. Let's go kill the stone giant god now.
Good luck with that.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Alexei.
Oh, kill giant strength. All right.
God, I guess I'll not blow all my money on spells.
I'll finally remove that like the Harp of Illusion and
As much as it pains
Pearl
me
of
not
Power.
to.
And the Potion of Giant Size.
Take
Can I have the
everything.
Pearl of Power?
The Pearl of Power is currently in Sirac's possession, which is another attunement item.
Right, I have 3 then.
Oh man.
The fact I completely
yeah.
forgot
Anyway,
that a pearl
so
of power.
as you guys are kind of like doing all this,
Sir
several
Albert, you can take that healing potion on.
several
Sorry.
several days kind of pass by as you're all kind of like going your separate way, like doing things in the city. You are told basically of that the city has arranged somewhat of a like a celebration essentially of the defeat of the hill giants and the problems plaguing Golden Fields, sort of in your honor, and there's like a day of kind of like a festival and this parade that marches from the harbor ward through the city, basically like celebrating the defeat of there's this float of this big fat hill giant that gets their head cut off, and it's just like it's like this, and you're just like, how the hell did they prepare all this stuff in like a few days? It's all sort of like run by this performance troupe called the Sea Maidens Fair. And it's just sort of like a neat little sort of like nothing like crazy, just like a parade, like a little festival, celebrating the defeat of the hill giants. And after that's all said and done, Alquil, as you're sort of leaving from the yawning portal one day, there's a bit of sort of like an uproar outside as like the ground is kind of shaking. As you sort of leave, you see sort of approaching you the frost giant Harshnag sort of striding through the city, and he sort of like waves to you as he sees you amidst the crowd.
Yeah, I will approach.
And kind of kneeling down, and he says, I have found you at last. And he says, it is more difficult than I remember to find people in this city. There are a lot more people. And he says, I wish to apprise you and your companions of my plans here. And he says, I must confess to you, I was not exactly, well, he says, it wasn't exactly my goal to defeat the hill giants. It just happened to be that way. Ran into them on my way elsewhere. And he says, I have been searching for something. And he says, and I believe I am close. And he says, I mean to search further, and I was wondering if I could perhaps petition your aid at a later date, when I am more sure of where the destination lies. He says, I could not have defeated those hill giants on my own, and I believe that yet greater threats await, and I would be pleased for the assistance.
Well, I will not speak for everyone else, but I would be glad to give my assistance to you, Harshnag, if you should need it. May I ask what it is you are searching for?
And he says, answers.
You got my axe. I'll follow you in.
I'll stare up at him. It's like, answers to what?
And he says,
Please take me away from here!
and he says, the blight that has taken over my kin. And he says, answers as to why the Allfather has abandoned us, to what might be done to rectify it.
To why your ordning was broken.
And he sort of nods. And he says, the Allfather is displeased with us, but he is distant. Our prayers do not reach him. And so I seek out a place where perhaps they might. I heard tales in my youth of an oracle. I do not know where it is located.
An oracle?
And he says, I have been searching for it for the past century, to no avail.
That is a long time, I say. But you believe you're getting close now?
And he says, indeed. I have perhaps identified one that might know of its location, though I am reticent to ask for their aid alone, which is why I would seek to petition you once I am sure.
Says, well, certainly. Says, I will offer what aid I can. If these answers, these people could show us an oracle that can give us the answers to why the ordning has been broken, that would be most helpful for my current objective as well. Our goals align.
He sort of nods and says, I will not presume to drag you through the wilderness for days, weeks, months. He says, I will come find you again when I am more certain of our destination. A few months, perhaps. In the meantime, keep yourself well, Alquil Redamoon.
And you too, Harshnag. Says, I will inform the others of what you told me.
Yeah, and again, he sort of like stands up. You see, like, people are like all just like kind of like watching what's transpiring. You're just sort of talking to this giant in the middle of town, and everyone's just like, "Is that a walking statue? Like, what's going on?" It's like I've never seen this one before. Yeah, and then Harshnag sort of like gets up and begins to kind of like leave the scene.
Is Harshnag's weapon a magical weapon?
It is.
It has a fancy name.
Yeah.
Gur's Great Axe.
Fancy names usually mean magical in my experience.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
No, I was just wondering.
I'm gonna steal the axe.
No. It's a lot of materials, man.
I mean, it is a giant-sized great axe. So.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of materials if I stole it.
I mean, I don't think you could physically carry it.
That's a joke.
Anyways, yeah. So he sort of like waves a fond farewell as he sets off into the horizon, in search of answers.
Yes.
Let me see. Is there anything else that I want to touch on?
Someone tries to assassinate me. The hood comes off in the night. Sir Alamir.
Sir Alamir just like, fair enough.
I was never really on your side.
So I will say, basically, in the prevailing sort of days and weeks that kind of go by as you're all just sort of like settling down and going about your business. Those of you that are staying. Those of you that are staying in Waterdeep begin to hear signs of the town criers and the broadsheets speaking of like enhanced hostilities in particularly like in the dock ward and sort of the kind of like more seedy sections of the city as like gangs and thugs kind of begin to clash openly in the streets, and things seem to be sort of coming to a head in the city's like underbelly, as it were, and I think sort of as the last sort of become the Guild Wars has, and I think basically as we sort of are wrapping this up here, that will be sort of like as the book closes here, the sort of end of the first season here of Storm King's Thunder, and of course at this point we would announce that we are going to be beginning probably sometime after Christmas and the holidays there, and the beginning of the new year, a playthrough of Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
Different party.
With yes, a mysterious Chamberlain.
And so that is next on the plate. We're going to take the next few weeks off to kind of like discuss things, get together. We'll make some characters together, probably stream that, and then we will again, like in the new year, hopefully Zach will be there. We can begin a new campaign, a first season of Dragon Heist, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Please do recap next.
Previously
on Dragon Heist, it didn't exist. At the end of the recap.
No. James has to recap everything that
you have to recap. You have to recap Legacy of the Crystal Shard and Storm King's Thunder up until the current date. No, so obviously it's a bit of a short one today, but that is pretty much all I have for you. So with that, we are going to be signing off here, and like I said, you will all have some downtime here between your adventure ending here and the next adventure while we're looking at another party and what is happening in the city of Waterdeep. And I hope you all enjoyed this, and we will see where things go next time.
Woo!
Fuck no.
Woo!